The coaster is Blue Streak, which is a John Vettel classic, one of only 2 valley coasters that still exists to this day, and 17th oldest coaster in America. So this is pretty much, having been on the Cyclone, both Jackrabbits and Racer at Kennywood, I'm getting up there for getting on to almost the top 20 oldest coasters in the country. And as I said, I've been waiting to ride this one for over 30 years. It's had a bit of work done to it over the years. In fact, last year apparently they had a new tunnel built, which is a classic feature of this ride as you start in a tunnel leading to the lift hill. But also, I'm really looking forward to, I've not looked at too many images or any on-ride POVs, except for one maybe, but which is in the dark, so it didn't really matter, of this ride, because I've long had a fascination about it. I did ride Jackrabbit in Seabreeze Park, as mentioned, which is another one of these classic woodies in the area. Not exactly close by, but close enough that I was aware of and I had always obsessively wanted to ride. So we're going to get a ride on this ride, but unfortunately I'm going to get only night rides, it appears, because the park doesn't open till 7 o'clock, and that's when I obviously will get access to it. Yesterday at Kings Island's Halloween Haunt event, I was discussing with Mr. El Toro Ryan about what it is exactly that you want from a roller coaster. This particular ride, while I haven't been on it yet, definitely seems to meet my requirements when it comes to a wood coaster, in the sense that you do want that sense, or at least personally I do, of the ride basically just being on its last rusty bolts. It might break apart during the ride. I don't know, there's something about that element of fear added to the structural element of the ride, whether or not the structure is sound, that I find fascinating. That being said, I'm pretty sure that this coaster is going to be all good. Structurally, there won't be any issues when it comes to that. The locals are also very friendly here already. Conneaut Lake Park, located just north of Pittsburgh by about an hour and a half and south of Erie, Pennsylvania by about a half an hour. It's a small family-run park that's existed from a bygone era when people used to come to small little resort towns in order to fill their weekends with family, and the park was built around Conneaut Lake itself, and over the years it has just expanded. But then, once that industry started to contract into bigger amusement parks and different types of thrills, the park has basically almost been forgotten. But that being said, in the 30 years that it's taken me to get here, it is actually still going strong. How strongly, I'm not entirely sure, but they do have a rather fascinating scare event that I'm here for today, which is called Ghost Lake, 13 Levels of Fear. Plush looking hotel from the outside, but it's obviously, this hotel's been here for, I believe, over 100 years. So it definitely, on the outside, as you get close to Hotel Conneaut, it looks of its era, let's say. So it hasn't been sort of rebuilt, and internet portals and all that kind of stuff, and modernization has not occurred here quite yet, but at the same time it definitely looks very nice. So I'm going to probably, if I come back to this park, I might look into actually staying here next time. Now, as I said, I've kind of wandered around. I'm at the back section of the park now. I'm trying to get a little closer to Blue Streak before all the available light is gone, but we'll see how that works out. I just wanted to capture this, one of the reasons why I'm so excited about this event. It's very small, independent, community run, obviously. Like, the park is basically sandwiched in the middle of like a small little town, which has a lot of retirees in it and stuff, and just it's a rather small community. But you have these houses here. This is one of the scare mazes, and Phobia, I believe it's one of the best ones that I've heard about. They're in abandoned houses, so they've actually got real haunted houses here from the looks of it. Just behind me is where the staff are all getting ready for the night. So it's I'm kind of in the middle of the park already. It's a ticket-based ride park, so as a traditional attractions park would be. So that being the case, you kind of, even though I'm staying out of the bulk of the park and respecting that until they open, you can kind of wander around here a bit. So it's not obviously going to be too busy today, or at least that's the way it's looking like. So yeah, here we go again with Ghost Lake. I will say I was a bit concerned when I got here because nobody was here, not staff. The park was, it looked like it was closed, and in the course of an hour, here we go, they've all arrived. There's a bit of a crowd here at the gate, and it's just getting a bit busier as the time goes by, so it's kind of exciting. I did hear at the gate that they were hoping that it would be a slower day. It's only the weekend, or the second weekend before Halloween, so I imagine it's going to be probably pretty busy today, but not crazy. Nothing like Cedar Point's haunt, that's for sure, but we'll see how this goes. But yeah, I'm pretty sure everything will be a walk-on. I'm really just concerned, and I'm hoping that considering the open nature of this park, that you are going to get a pass. I will cover it, basically for admission to each of the mazes, but the Blue Streak being one of the scares, or the haunts, or the 13 levels of fear, sorry, anybody from Conneaut that might be watching, I'm hoping to get a re-ride, but we'll see how this goes. I may end up begging for one. In fact, I'll definitely be doing that if it comes to that.
I love being spooked.
Oh gosh. Oh, disorientating. Whoa. Oh my god.
I'm not good with dizzy things.
Oh. Got me early. Alright, well I just did the Bayou behind me. You can't really record in the mazes, so I really wish I could have, because wow, for what is really a smaller event as far as budget-wise, there was some remarkable stuff going on. That's a great start to the mazes here. So I got 2 real good jump scares in the first half, leading into like this climactic part in the middle where you meet like a Cajun witch doctor and I guess his daughter or something along those lines. So there's a lot of like dark passageways leading into those scenes. Once you get into those scenes, the decor in there is actually really impressive. It looks permanent to me. Having just come from like there's a lot of scare actors around here, so yeah, he's been waiting to get me for a while. Yeah, it was amazing. Like there's a laser effect. We're jumping back to where it was. There's when you meet the witch doctor, or the Cajun witch shaman, he sort of sets like this curse thing going on, which leads into the second half of the attraction, where you go through sort of this weird sort of clothesline setup and into the backyard of this sort of makeshift like Bayou type town. At least that was my take on it. Once you get into okay, the chainsaw's throwing me off. So once you get into that section though, there's a part where the climax is that you've got to crawl through a tunnel on all fours. There is another way to get through in case you can't do that. They've obviously taken that into consideration. And then there's a climactic finale where you meet, I don't even know what creature it was, and a kid is in there too, in the final room. And the character actor at the end, they are like some parkour aficionado or something, because they were bouncing off of the walls, almost doing flips and stuff, at least when I was in there. So yeah, it was really good. So Bayou is a great start. I'm really looking forward to the rest of this event. All right, so the next maze was Forget Me Not Antiques. And here he is again. He's going to totally mess up my vlogs. So this one is basically like their blackout sort of experience. I could not see where I was going. You can hear me. So basically it was a sort of blackout experience. You went through the first room, which was like some weird sort of magician type deal. Again, jump scare right at the beginning, got me. Not for the rest of the attraction did they really manage to scare or jump scare me. But this one, yeah, it was a lot more about just like not knowing where you're going. So there was one section in the middle of the maze where they have like these dangling curtains that completely blacked out the entire area. I had no idea where I was going. You really do have to feel your way around to sort of get an idea of where you're basically headed. It also had one of those spinning chambers with the black lighting that really threw you off, much like the entrance to the park as well. I think that a lot of these attractions are permanent fixtures here, because again, that sort of seemed like a setup that they don't tear down over the hello. That's my buddy here. Been hanging around. Bye. Probably see you again. So yeah, that was definitely a good attraction, but not the best that I've done out of the two. But I'm sure that when it gets down to it, it's going to be probably lower on the list as far as like what I was impressed by. There was no like state-of-the-art scare stuff going on there, like the Bayou experience that I just had, which I didn't mention in the laser room in the Bayou behind me. That there's a section where the room has like a green light at waist height, and there's a section where you go around a darkened portion in the middle, and there's a scare actor in the middle of that just jumps out of the laser, because it's a wall created by the smoke effect, so you don't see them at all until they actually pop out of the laser light. I'm tripping over my words because I haven't had enough sleep. This has been kind of a crazy little quick jaunt down through the Midwest, so yeah, I apologize for that, but we're doing the best we can. We're off to the next one. We're going to do the dark Circus Sideshow behind me, and that's pretty much it for this center section of like the carnival area. feet are looking a little like I shouldn't have wore suede shoes on this trip. Yeah, that was something else. So it's obviously a take on the clown theme. Mr. Tickles is the gentleman that you get to meet. But there was 5 or 6 scare actors in that particular maze. Lots of black lighting with neon paintings of scary looking clowns on the walls. I will say now, having had at least 3 good jump scares in that particular maze, this is not a kids event. In fact, I don't see any kids here at all. There's obviously teenagers, but it's not the level that, you know, if you're faint of heart, that you probably would be doing so well in these attractions. Granted, I've only done 3 of the mazes, but all 3 of them have been very solid with jump scares so far. So I would have to say that, yeah, my one recommendation is probably to keep the kids at home. Hello.
Forewarning you, in this house you are going to get touched and they are going to get into your face. Eileen is in this house, and if you don't know who she was a prostitute, she killed 7 men. Jeffrey Dahmer, the Green River Killer, Richard Ramirez. They are all in here. The people in here have been practicing their scenes since May. They are psychos. They are going to get into your face and they are going to smell you. They are going to freak you out. You guys go out.
Alright, so we just finished Death Row here. I'm going to try to get some decent light on me, so I'm not going to point out a couple of things in this structure. Right in these holes, they actually like call you out before you get into the attraction, and they're sort of setting up that final confrontation, which was really good. Also, you have this whole building is themed after serial killers. Basically, it's their, I don't know, their hostel, I guess maybe. But we have one of these abandoned structures that's being used for a scare maze, which is phenomenal. The first half, you basically are going through sort of like a jail cell setup before you go into the bottom basement floor where the main serial killer confrontations happen. They're themed after various famous faces, which you see on the stairwell on the way up.
Shut up! Make me!
Oh, you gonna die tonight? You don't want this smoke. You don't want it. You don't want it.
Camo girl thinks her camouflage actually works. Can't go like that. Girl, you're in the streets. They don't work. I see you perfectly clear. Camouflage girl will see you.
Just to carry on with what was happening there, yeah, you go into the basement where you basically confront all the main serial killers. There's probably about 5 actors in that maze. Again, all exceptionally done, like really into character, as you can see by the lady leading you in at the front. But also to mention, there's a couple things to mention more than that. First off, this, I'm going to go out on a limb and say, is the best themed haunt event that I've ever seen outside of Japan. Like this building, like the actual set pieces in that, they look really authentic. I wish I could show you them just like it was in Japan. Unfortunately, you got to come out here to experience it for yourself. But wow, just amazing set pieces. Really kind of get you into the atmosphere of what's going on. I'm not scared, but it's a little tense going through some of these things. And I did like the fact that, you know, there's a lot of interactivity with these guys, more so than you get at some other amusement parks where it's just like, oh, blue, and then they move on. These guys like actually converse with you. They touch you, which is the other thing that I had to mention. that, yeah, they don't seem to have any inhibition or concern about actually getting right in your face and even grabbing you a bit. There's one section where I was going the wrong way. I was voted the leader of the group that was behind me, actually, in another attraction, and even in line, oddly enough. They've been with me the whole time. So yeah, there's a lot of interactivity. There's a lot of, they'll just grab you, and they warn you that that's going to happen. So I'm now moving on to another of these haunted houses that's actually in a house. And this is the one that I actually came to earlier, that's been here for quite a while, which is known as Phobia. Okay, I just came out of Phobia, and that's the best maze here so far. It's in this old house, which you can just see it here. It's like as creepy as can be anyway. There's a couple of standouts. I didn't mention that some of these attractions have animatronics in them. This one did. With a very well-themed, like incredibly themed section at the top floor. In fact, this entire maze is the best themed maze that I've seen, at least at this park, and possibly like one of the best period that I've seen, just because of the fact that it's in this house and it's quite intense. Also, like just the TV room that you come into. I'm trying not to really spoil anything, because if you do manage to get here, you really have to experience this stuff for yourself. But the top floor has this room with TVs leading into the section with the animatronic, which was quite phenomenal. It's a upside down woman that sort of reaches out backwards and comes out to grab you, and that leads into what I like to call an ephemera room, which if you had been to Unsound, which is completely unrelated to this event, but it is a room full of smoke with white light, and you can't see where you're going at all. And then this clown comes out of nowhere in the mist and leads you out in an obviously friendly but scary fashion. The beginning of the ride, or the attraction as well, it's not a ride, but it definitely felt like it. You go into the house, and it's another one of these black curtain situations where it took me a couple of minutes, like at least a minute, to figure out where I was going before I actually got into the room. That's the start, and it's a completely pitch black room, and there's two people in there with you. That's all I'll say. I'd say the only thing that I didn't really like about this particular maze is that the end was a bit anticlimactic, because you kind of just get let out after you have one confrontation with two scare actors at the top in this laser tunnel, and then you just come out of the back and you're here where I am now. Also, the theming on this one, it's like one person's a clown, there's a guy with a snake that's like like this Bayou shaman type of dude. There's another clown in the white room. It just seemed like they kind of played off of, I guess, people's phobias, because that's what this attraction is called, Phobia. Alright, but I'm going to probably list what I think were the best ones in order at the end, but you can bet that this is definitely going to be at the top of the list, because wow, Phobia, amazing. Everything that I thought it would be. Wow, it was great. So just a bit of an update. I was just talking to the gentleman that runs Phobia. He claims it's his house, and these are his people. So he was saying that normally he has 10 scare actors in there, but he has 7 today just because of school and stuff like that. It's a Sunday. I should touch on the fact that on Sunday you get a bit of a discount here. So he was saying that yesterday was complete madness, and I chose a good day to come because the lines were crazy. Much like the haunt events around here, Cedar Point and Kings Island, as I mentioned to him, were crazy busy this past weekend. Cedar Point closing down yesterday as well. So he was very. It seems like we have individuals that run each of the houses here, and they just basically come up with different ideas for what they want to do over the course of the year, or at least each year that it occurs. So I commended him on stuff like that white room, which was phenomenal, and other elements too. So hello if you're watching, because I'm definitely going to get you a card as well. So definitely come down here. He's saying that it's going to be more crazy next year, so I'm already enticed. There's no point in going through these mazes more than once, because you kind of know what's going to come after you've done it once, but I'm definitely looking forward to next year.
I swear that's Michael Jackson's brother. Oh, fuck. Hey, Michael Jackson. Hey, he's looking for me.
So I just came out of Oblivion here, and I'm just going to comment on one thing about scare mazes that seems to be lost on a lot of these attractions when they're set up is the maze aspect of what they're about. Like, that was an actual maze. Like, you really kind of have no clue where you're going throughout the entire course of the attraction. My favorite part was when you come out of the section in the back where you think you're actually at the end of the attraction, but you're only halfway through, and the actors actually tease you because you got to go back in and confront them. Lots of cool, like, it's one of those maze situations where there's a lot of pallets that are used, so you're kind of walking through like these weird wood structures. It's fairly dark, and I really did not know. You got to use your hands to get through just to figure out where you're going. And pretty long too, as well. They also have a horn effect in there, which you hear. So there was a lot of, I'd say about 2 or 3 authentic jump scares. It's not really fair because I think I'm on the 7th maze now, so I'm getting a bit used to where the surprises are going to come from. So if this was my first attraction here today, it would have probably been way more intense for me than, say, it is now.
Wow.
But yeah, another solid scare maze here at Conneaut Lake Park. Okay, so I just came out of this attraction behind me, which is the zoo. The theming in this place, that was unbelievable. Now, there's the first scare. I can't spoil it for you because it's an animatronic, and I wasn't expecting it at all. It's a big animatronic as well. Oh, hello, this is the curator. Yeah, and the scares never stop here either. Even between shooting, they've got me a lot of times. I've gotten to the point now, I'm getting so used to this that it's pretty much expected. But that was great. I don't know what the structure is that it was built into. It's like a giant cave with like sort of like passages within it. And obviously it's themed after a zoo. That's gone all wrong. Well, now you just got a little taste of me getting jump scared authentically there, just trying to get some good light. But yeah, that was really good. Like, there's not a lot going on as far as like actors and stuff. I think there was only like 3 in there. There was some sections where I think vis-a-vis the conversation I had with one of the gentlemen running one of the houses, that I think some actors are off today, when normally, like on a day like yesterday, they would have been here, so there'd be more scares through the course of the zoo. But most of this attraction is outside, so it's not really fair to have people sort of hanging out in trees and bushes outside in the cold for an extended period of time. But quality theming in that one too. There's not much of it. It's really built on what structure is there already. But yeah, that was really cool. I'm gonna sum up everything after my next 3 houses, my final ride on Blue Streak. But I'm gonna sort of tease that there's some high praise coming for this event. Because yeah, if you're really into scare attractions, this is really like a can't miss situation. I've never really experienced something that's really been done with such care and for the lack of word that I have right now. It just attention to detail, but also passion is what I'm looking for. Passion for the event itself. You can tell that from the people that are here, that they really do like putting on this event, and it shows. So yeah, that's the zoo. We're moving on to the last 3. Alright, so I just did ice, which was a really good setup. Probably not the scariest one, because the way the maze is set up, it's just like a zigzag pattern and fencing that has a lot of mist and stuff going through it. But you kind of can see through the walls, so if there are people that you're catching up to, you kind of see where the scare actors are and what's coming up. It was really I kind of was begging to go through it alone, but it wouldn't have really made much of a difference, because with the amount of people going through, you can kind of see what's going to happen. So I'd say scare level meter was pretty low on that particular attraction. Try to keep that spooky hand shadow out of the shot. Scare level was pretty low on ice, I'd say, but still, again, atmosphere, definitely good. Theme-wise, I'm not really sure what was going on there, to be honest. It's just a general scare attraction for what it is. So yeah, probably in the rankings, it's probably going to be a bit low, unfortunately. But still worth it, definitely worth checking out. And still, again, better than most of the scare attractions that I've experienced in North America. But that's a digression for later on in the sum up. All right, moving on. We're going to Scaryland Forest, which is right behind me here. And we've only got 2 left. It's the second last maze. So, yeah, we're going to finish this out. You can tell it's getting a bit cold, but you can't see it in the camera. Maybe I'm just going crazy. Anyway, Scaryland Forest. Here we go. Dark commentary, and this is Deja Vu, and it's got a massive line, so it's my last maze, and I think that I left the best for last. So let's see what this is about. You can't see me, can you? Or maybe you can. I just got out of Scaryland Forest. Imagine going Christmas tree shopping in hell. And that was basically what that was. It was really good. At least the theming of it was phenomenal. The scares, it was pretty short actually. It was like the shortest scare maze of all the ones that we've experienced here.
Headlight guy. Bro, I got a secret.
He always gets them!
Alright, so I just finished Deja Vu. It turns out I think I have one more haunted house to do, so I'm gonna, it's right in the middle, but I digress. Deja Vu. So as you saw, it had the longest line of any of the attractions that I've encountered today. I don't know, it might be getting a bit busier as well, because some of the people that were in line that I was chatting with, this was their first one. I was a little underwhelmed, to be honest. Set, unbelievable, yet again. Like, I'm pretty much expecting that from all the attractions here, that the set designs, or the mazes themselves, the decor, well, you don't really have to put much into a dilapidated haunted house to make it look authentic. They've really got it down here, and it was really well done. The only thing it was missing was some scares. That being said, I think that they have a lot of people off today, because I could tell certain sections of the rooms that we're going through, or at least that I was going through, because I did get to go through this solo. You could tell that there were supposed to be actors in certain sections that there weren't. So, but this one they also chase you out of the attraction too. So I had that situation going on. In fact, here comes Freddy Krueger right behind the camera here. If you can see, here he is. If that's not creepy, I don't know what is. We didn't get to meet him.
Freddy's world now.
You're my favorite. Freddy's the best.
Freddy's got himself a new toy.
Oh, Freddy's off. He's got to go back to work.
Inside right at all times.
Thank you. since I didn't touch on it before, I should probably do it now. Since I cheated, and I did do the Devil's Den behind me earlier, and you have seen a POV of that. Still tripping over my words. Feels like I'm in Japan again. Yeah, that was a great little haunted house. Ghost train, which it is, a classic ghost train. I've never really been on that design before. It kind of reminds me of being in my youth when you had those sort of like high-speed ghost trains that have dips, and really it kind of goes through the course so fast that I was trying desperately just to keep up with all that was going on inside of it. But yeah, really cool ghost train, a classic, and I don't think that is particularly themed for anything during this event. But I definitely was a big fan. That all the animatronics and the mechanics in it worked, at least from what I could tell. So big props on Conneaut Lake Park for taking care of these classic rides and making sure that they're still functioning the way that they were pretty close to when they first were open. We've got one more to do. I'm going to try to find Terror Down Under. Then we're going to do Blue Streak in the back for a final ride before I head off. So here we go. Terror Down Under is the last of my mazes to do here. It's actually located in the hotel itself, which has got me very curious. It looks like it's got like a classic haunted hotel theme, so this one will probably be pretty good. I don't want to set expectations too high, but it is the last base I'm doing, so hopefully this will be a special one. Alright, so we're waiting to get in. At least we're in the heat inside the hotel here. This is the last of the mazes for today, and hopefully it lives up to the reputation. But so far it's just a snack bar. So I'm sure it's going to get a little bit better than that.
There's a lot of students here. I've been working here. This hotel is the only reason that I can recognize paranormal now. Because like when I first started working, I freaked out. I'll be honest. I had no idea what was happening. I was scared, and they were upset because they thought I was ignoring them. Three, right? It's too late. We're never so far.
So I just got out of Terror Down Under. I'll just say it's a bit of a confusing name because it's actually on the second floor of the hotel. Exceptionally themed, yet again. Wow, two things. I don't want to give too much away, but the first dark room that you go into, the actor that's in that room has a particular prop that I've not seen in a scare maze ever. So he surprises you in a manner that I've really not seen before, and it really lights you up. Not to, no pun intended, but it's kind of intended. In addition to that, we also have one of my favorite features of the Fuji Q Highland Haunted Manor House, or whatever it's called, the Haunted Hospital technically, sorry, tripping over my words still, is the hallway sequence in the center of the building. They have that sort of same setup here in the hotel. Basically what you're getting is like a haunted portion of the hotel, which a couple of the lads that I was just talking to leading in, hi guys if you're watching, they were saying that the hotel's haunted anyway, so it looks like that was a section of the hotel that they retained. The scare actors in this are from really all sorts, so like you have young kids, as we had in one maze, a kid probably of like 8 years old, and then we also have older actors as well. It's really a community event. It's fantastic. I'm going to wrap things up now. I'm going to go on the Blue Streak and then I'll give my final review overall. But Terror Down Under, other than the name, which is a bit confusing because it probably should have like a hotel theme name, it was definitely very solid. The only catch and the only caveat is that it was a little too short for my liking. In the last 3 rooms leading out, I could see that there were actors in those rooms, but they didn't actually move. They were just kind of just chilling. Whereas the gentleman in bed, he definitely gave one of the best performances that I've seen in the entire evening. All right, so time to wrap this up. Alright, so unfortunately, because the line for Blue Streak is actually quite long, it's actually a capacity for the cattle pen that they have set up here. I'm going to have to pass on taking another ride on it for today. That's just the way it's going to go. I'm probably going to be back here, say in the spring, to ride it again in the daytime anyway. On my way maybe to Kennywood for my annual trip, as it seems to be. But yeah, the gentleman that I met in Kings Island yesterday had said that the back seat is the best seat on this ride. I had a front seat ride for my ride earlier. Couple of comments I should make. It is one of the rougher wood coasters I've been on. Having been on Jackrabbit in Rochester, that's 100 years old next year. And this ride, I believe the gentleman said, if I'm going to do the math, he said it was 83 years old. The only issue is that it seems like the chassis is just, I don't know, like it was very rickety, so when you took turns, the whole car would just sort of like jut to the side, just like that. Like I got a pretty good head shake off of my first ride on this ride today. Maybe I've been spoiled over the weekend riding some pretty smooth state-of-the-art rides, but yeah, I don't think that in the shape that this coaster is in today that I could ride it more than a couple of times without it sort of having a bit of a head rattling effect. But that being said, the ride is really great, especially in the dark. I enjoyed it a lot. The track is not lit and it's going through a forested section of this park, so you don't really have any idea, if you have not been familiar with the layout of it, where you're going at all. Especially that front section with the tunnel leading into the this guy's saying that the operator's saying he needs 2 people for the next train. I almost want to run over and be like, oh, I'll do it. But I think I'll come back and do a more in-depth review of Blue Streak, because this is a ride, like I said, that I've been looking to ride for many, many years. I now have it ticked off of my credit list, but I am looking forward to coming back and trying it when it comes back in the spring. Is it one of my top wood coasters? Too early to say, because obviously the roughness isn't going to help the review of it, but I think that overall the layout is great. I definitely love like the way the track is kind of overbanked in certain sections, kind of like a Mystic Timber situation where you're kind of just undulating from side to side due to the track work, not because the actual train is doing that, or is, you know, just like out of control. But wow, you know, you definitely feel like the structure is, you know, and while the TLC is there in order to keep it running, it's not like been completely rebuilt. It definitely feels like you're getting the ride that you would have gotten many years ago when this thing was first built. And also the operators of it really play up a lot into the age of the ride, and like you should feel like you should second guess whether or not you should be going on it if you want to, you know, maintain your health. And yeah, I'm digressing because, you know, it's been a long trip. But yeah, Blue Streak, definitely glad I got here for it, and this night ride, which was definitely unique. I also believe it's a good chance I'll be here next year, so I'll get to ride it again at that time. Kind of a shame that because I have this ability to ride it again, I'm not taking advantage of it, but I'll re-ride it in the spring, and then by the time I come back for the haunt next year, I'll be well familiar with it and know exactly where I want to sit. I will recommend, though, as per when I got here, that you should probably get on it first in order to avoid a line like that. That line's probably going to take like a half an hour for it to go through, because it's just one train that runs on the track. The other one is definitely not up to the task of running, it looks like at this time. Now, I did meet the organizer of this event, Tara. Hello if you're watching. I definitely look forward to coming back next year because this was fantastic. Like I said, I think there's a lot that could come of this particular attraction. It's not easy to get to in the sense that, you know, there's no real public transit, I guess, to get out here. You kind of have to, you know, hire a car or find a way to get out. It seems to be a very local event. The last maze that I went through, the 2 young gentlemen that I was with, were saying that their family are part of the scare actors running in some of these mazes here. So it's definitely a community feel for what you have, kind of like a haunted hayride situation, but way on a bigger scale. There's at least over 100 actors in this park, basically spread out throughout the mazes and also in the main causeway of the fairground area. So yeah, unbelievable. I'm really, really happy. What an incredible event Ghost Lake is. It seems like things like this are a dime a dozen in most towns now, but this is really something special. And really, if you're into high-end scare attractions in the sense that, you know, you want the most extreme that you can get, well, this is the place you should be, because I don't think I've ever been to a haunt attraction outside of Japan that has taken their scares so seriously. And I just love the interactivity with the actors. Everybody here has been super friendly. It's just been a great time. So, unfortunately, I got to wrap it up here from Ghost Lake, Conneaut Lake Park. What a day, what a night. I'm very happy that I didn't end up going to Cedar Point and had the full-time commitment to come here. Maybe it was meant to be, but yeah, here's closing it out. Coaster Daff will be here next year from Ghost Lake.